Hello, Yates County and beyond. Welcome back to another episode of Invasive Species Friday. Through this short weekly podcast, we at the Yates CCE hope to bring you information about the invasive species you may see around this county. So let's get started with this week's plant, garlic mustard. Garlic mustard is one of only a few non-native species that can grow in forest understories. It originated in Europe and parts of Asia, and was brought to North America for food and medicinal purposes. The earliest known report in the U.S. was on Long Island, New York in 1868. It has since spread throughout much of the continent, especially in the eastern United States and Canada. This herb takes 2 years of growth before it fully matures and produces seeds. This is called a biennial life cycle. By the middle of the summer of the first year, a short rosette has grown. In the second year, the plant grows a stalk and forms flowers before dying in June. The plant's seed pods, called calyx, are four-sided and contain rows of little black seeds. One plant produces on average 600 seeds, but an overachieving plant can produce up to 7,900 seeds. The seeds typically germinate within a year or two, but are viable for 5 or more years. First-year plants are tricky to identify by sight. The leaves are dark green and kidney-shaped with round teeth along the edges. It can look similar to wild ginger or creeping Charlie. If you think you may have found garlic mustard, try crushing a leaf and smelling it. Garlic mustard gives off a garlicky odor when damaged, making it easier to ID. Leaves on second-year plants are more triangular, smaller, and have sharper teeth. The higher up the stalk the leaves are, the smaller they'll be. The stalk itself will be hairy. The garlicky scent from crushing leaves will still be present, but the odor is less obvious as the plant ages. Garlic mustard flowers have 4 small white petals symmetrically arranged around 6 stamen. When flowering, the plant can reach 3.5 feet tall. Garlic mustard, as many invasives do, outcompete native plants like trilliums and toothworts. A direct consequence of this plant taking over is the decline of 3 native butterflies, the West Virginia white, the mustard white butterfly, and the phallicate orange tip. For these 3 species, native toothworts are their host plant, meaning they lay their eggs on and eat from this plant exclusively. Not only does it displace these wildflowers, but there are also chemicals in the garlic mustard that are toxic to butterfly larvae. There's further research to indicate that garlic mustard may be allelopathic as well. This means it releases chemicals that inhibit the growth of other plant species. So how can you get rid of garlic mustard? It's easy to remove by hand if the soil is moist, but it can regrow from left behind root buds, so take care to get out as much as possible. It's best to tackle the job when the plant is in its first year, or before it flowers in its second. Plant parts should be bagged and removed as they can resprout as well. Herbicides are also an option, but take care to protect yourself and the native plants from spray drift. Oh, and remember how I mentioned the seeds are viable for years after they're produced? This means it can take at least 5 years to deplete a heavy infestation, if you keep on top of it and don't let the current plants go to seed. And that's it for this week's episode of Invasive Species Friday. Join us next Friday to hear about a woolly little forest pest. Until then, we at the Yates County CCE thank you for tuning in and supporting our fight against invasive species in Yates County.